we're going to be changing the oil and gear oil on a 150cc scooter. I just cut open a soda can to use for the gear oil because it's not that much. So we got this bolt here is where you fill it with the new oil, and then underneath here is the drain bolt. And you need a 10mm socket to get that open. And get your can under here. Be careful, because as soon as the bolt comes out, it's going to start spilling out. Here it comes. That's it. Drains pretty fast. Now the part that's a pain in the butt is refilling it. I found something out here very interesting. There's a little hole here, and this tube goes in there. This must be some kind of breather for where the gear oil is. Their little test. As soon as I pour some oil in this hole, it comes right out the drain for the gear oil. So I've been trying to figure out what's going on here, because I believe the oil is white because there's water getting in from somewhere, even though I don't really drive this bike when it's wet out. So I believe this seal must not be sealing very well when it's in here, and it lets water get in there. Line up this funnel with a hole, and I'll pour a little oil in there. See, it comes right out the drain hole. So, I think I finally identified the problem with that issue. This little part here comes off. So I took that off, cleaned up the hose real good, cleaned in here. I got some marine adhesive I'm going to try to use to seal this. That's all I got right now. I'm going to put some of that in here, in this track, where it sits inside of the hole there, and then also inside of here, where the hose goes through. Because the water is more than likely getting in through where the hose plugs in, but I believe it's probably getting through here. So I don't think this rubber seal is very good to begin with, and plus it's 5 years old now. So we're going to try that, and hopefully that'll keep the water from getting in there anymore. We're going to just smear some on the end of the hose, like this. Stuff's pretty thick. If you want, you can wear gloves when you do it. Then this little thing, I'll get back on like that. Then you can go around like this to try to smash it in around to form a better seal. Also, let the bike sit for a little while before you drive around. Let the stuff cure. This stuff says it's fast cure, but other stuff you use is probably going to need at least 24 hours. Got that done, and then I'm going to run some along inside here on this track, and then reinstall it. Also do it quick, because you may need to reflex the hose depending on how this was put in here, because it might not be positioned correctly inside. So I'm just going to run some in here. Also here in this flat part is probably where it doesn't seal very well when it's in there. Water can easily get in. Okay, almost. It's in, and then this hose just goes in there. Actually, I think it's going to be a lot easier to put the rubber back in after you clean it. And then, because I'm going to have to do this anyways, again, just be sure. Run some more of this stuff around where the seal is and around the hose. After you put back the drain bolt and snug it up, don't make it too tight, then you come and open up the fill bolt. Don't lose your crush washer. Okay, got it open. Now, this thing is a pain to fill, so you can either buy a special funnel that has a tube on it, or you can get an old spice container. It's good because it has that cap, so when you're not using it, you can put the cap on and it keeps crap from getting inside, and like dirt and stuff. And you get a gasket maker and just basically glue in a small piece of hose, like a small piece of fuel line into here. Then you shave down the end a little bit so it will fit inside the hole here. So then you come down here and you put it inside the fill hole. You have to shove it in there a little bit. And you carefully turn it upwards. See, it's still in there. Then you gotta find something to support the container. Okay, so I got this bait bucket and a socket to hold it up. And the hose is inside the hole. So now, I use 10W40, and I'm not endorsing this brand or anything. It's just the one that I happen to have. And I've actually had this bottle for a long time because the gears take very little oil. So fill it up about halfway, and this way it does take forever to fill up because it's such a tiny little hose. So I just do that. Careful, put the cap on it so no debris will get blown in there, this wind or something. And then you can see it'll slowly fill into that hole, and once it's full, the oil will start to come back out through the fill hole. Then that's when you know it's full. And any excess oil in here you can just dump back in the bottle. Now we're going to check and see if the gear oil is full yet. You have to pull the little hose out. I don't see any oil coming out of there yet, so we need to put a little more in there. Now, since you already put in half a container worth, we're just going to put in a little bit and keep doing this, checking it till it starts coming out of the fill hole. We're going to check this again and see if it's full yet. It looks like it might be full as I see some oil coming out. There you go. See all that oil coming out? That means it's full. you're always going to overfill it. And you just let that go on your drip towel there. That was way over full. You don't want to overfill it because it'll end up blasting through this. That must be why this breather hose is here, because there must be some kind of pressure that builds up in there. Probably from the gears turning, it will get slushed around. So I guess this is just here to let the pressure out. So once that slows down, let it go a little more, and then we'll put the bolt back in. Okay, see, now it's pretty much stopped with its overfill. Then we can go ahead and put the bolt back in. Then just snug this up and you're done with this. Now we are going to come over to the other side of the bike. Get your oil drain pan, and you need a 11/16 socket. Put it, and you just loosen up the bolt. And you can turn it by hand. It's spring loaded, so eventually the spring will just pop everything out. You just basically let it drain out. And after, you come up here, right there, the little funnel, fill it up. Changing the engine oil is a lot faster than changing the gear oil. And the gear oil doesn't have to be done as often as the motor oil. After you wait a little bit, about 10 minutes, and pull the drain container out of the way. Put something there though, because it's still going to drip. Get your cap. Make sure you put oil on the sealing ring, which isn't really good. There should actually be a gasket there, because the ring just gets smashed down like that. Then so you get your cap, put the spring inside of it like that, and the little filter goes on top inside the spring. And the tricky part now is to get it in there, because it's very hard to get the thread started. Once you push it all in there, actually I might be turning it the wrong way. I think it might be the other way to tighten. Actually, no, it is this way. Eventually you'll get it. It's just hard because that spring's in there. Okay, got it. Well, that's it for that. Then you just snug it up with your wrench. Don't make it too tight because it's aluminum, it'll strip. Then you can go up here and put your oil in. When you're ready to fill up the engine oil, I always keep a container in the bike too, in case the oil gets low. And what I do is I always buy the big jugs of the 1540. It's a 1 gallon container because they're a lot cheaper than buying the single quarts, and it lasts a long time. And I keep the old container also to measure, because there's numbers here. the bike takes a little less than a quart. So I fill it up to where it says 800 on the container, and I go from there. Usually it will be full after dumping in all that, but I do check occasionally because sometimes it will take less than that. So after I put in maybe until there's about at 200 left, then I'll check it with a dipstick to see if it's full or not. I just start dumping it in. Do it slow because if you go too fast, some of the oil can back out and drip on the ground. As you can see happened with the gear oil, it wasted a lot of oil. Where we're at about 400. Got about half of it in there. A little more, and then I'll check it with the dipstick. We got it down to 200. Now we're going to check and see. And also, if you're having a problem with the seal on your dipstick or oil's leaking out of here, even when this is on tight, I have another video on my channel that explains how you can fix that. So make sure you check out my other videos. Sometimes it takes less than the 800 for some reason. As you can see the dipstick, it appears that it is full, so I'm not going to put any more oil in. And also make sure you check it a few times too, because sometimes it can be wrong reading. And that's it. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe.